live. We're live. I think it's very interesting. One of my friends who just started live streaming, he just messaged me. Live streaming has completely changed the game for me, man. Huge thanks. Let's go. Let's go. Live streaming is very interesting. The moment he sent me this message, I'm thinking about what is happening. It is helping you find your true self. It is helping you it is helping you find your true self, find truly what you're interested in. It is a space that helps you really figure out that what is that you're truly curious about. What is that unique thing that you're curious about? And even if that one thing, let's say F1, just because one of my friends told me F1, even if that one thing seems like huge because millions of people are after F1, you can figure out what is that particular lens with which you look at F1 that makes it interesting for you and gives you a differentiation or helps you stand out. That is very interesting. It's so cool. It's so cool. Yesterday I had one of my buddies, we were moving to Singapore. One of my buddies, I told him I'm going to really miss him. And I told him that I'm going to Singapore, and he was like, okay, let's plan a dinner. Let's make sure we do this dinner on on last night, Monday. And it was amazing. I try to make sure that we are going to a nice restaurant, a nice place. We were able to find a nice place. It's amazing to do things on Monday because the world is busy and you can do whatever you want. And it was beautiful. A nice Italian restaurant. We are the only huge table over there. We are talking for 2.5 hours. And all my friends, they're very curious. They are very smart. They're intelligent. They make money. They work hard. And I think the most important thing is that they speak what they really feel. And I think I was thinking about it like yesterday. That is what makes me attracted to my friends. That is what made me realize that these are true friends because they just speak their mind. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of filter over there, and that just really helped us go deeper and deeper into the conversation. The conversation kept on going. You have this one friend who just keeps telling stories and funny stories and experiences, and then you have another friend who just adds their perspective. Then you have other friend who questions to change the hypotheses, and then you have this other friend who is just like a very good listener and good participator in the conversation. And it was amazing. It just kept flowing. And these are the experiences that I want more and more, where you have smart minds, they come together and they just keep adding more and more perspective. You build these strong relationships, you have interesting conversations. These conversations change the way how you think, and you create memories and take back interesting memories that you can then apply on your work, on your life, and then again come back and add more character. So keep on adding more character. I think that was beautiful. And there's one of my other friends, I'm really happy that he usually has dinner super early, but I was like, hey man, what are you doing right now? I am moving. Please come to this dinner. I would love to have you. We are already like a couple people over there. So that was amazing. That was amazing. Okay, what are we curious about? Wow. Yeah, like one of my friends who just messaged me, huge thanks. I'm thinking about this is very interesting. How often do you give yourself space to really be creative, to really explore the corners of your mind? I think that is very important. It seems like, so I was also thinking about X and Twitter. Twitter is, I think one algorithmic change that they might be doing right now is make Grok. So if the goal with Grok is to make it extremely truth-seeking, another thing you can do with the algorithm now, because now they are using Grok to process all the posts that you create, and and then the best ones go on the timeline. Could be also very interesting that you could be like, hey, in the main feed, people should only be seeing stuff that is maximally truth-seeking. And that is, again, beautiful. When you make things extremely truth-seeking, now how Grok processes things is that, okay, all these things could be true, and all these things are just human perspectives. And I think that is very interesting. I'm actually really curious. What is the high level filter through which all these posts are being processed? Is it maximally truth seeking? Is this like just add more flavor? Because I think that's the difference between looking into content produced by AI versus looking at content produced by a human. AI will give you a generic answer, one answer, an average answer. It will look at all the available data out there. It will come up with what sounds true, and it will create a generic answer that is on average it works. But then a human will do what a human will do is human can give you extremely polarizing answer, extremely polarizing response perspective, which is very unique to that one person. So that is the difference between AI and human now. Human will give you one singular strong perspective, one singular solid, maybe polarizing perspective. AI will give you on average something that is truth seeking, but not something that is polarizing. I was also curious to check out Balaji's X, what he's writing about. Yesterday we went skiing and we messed up our hand. Very, very cool. I had a really good fall, and right after that fall I was like, okay, it is, now we are ready. And then we knew what to do. Skiing is very interesting. Skiing is very interesting because there's this one simple principle in skiing: look where you want to go, don't look where you don't want to go. So the two things that you don't want to look at is, you don't want to look at, you don't want to look down. You don't want to look down unless your goal is to go straight down, unless you're that good that you can just go straight down. You don't want to look down. You don't want to look right at the, you don't want to look at the edge where there is danger, where you might just go bump into the trees. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is you just want to look at that one point where you are going to go and take a curve, take a turn. And then the moment you turn, you start looking at the other edge, and another point. So if you are a beginner, you want to go in the zigzag curved way. You want to keep looking at those edges, the where you take a turn. That's it. And yeah, and once you start doing that, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. I think there's this, I think they should have this one exercise. Like there's this one exercise where it helps you, there's one machine that helps you like curve, helps your legs and your body perform that rhythm of curves, because you kind of want to warm up a lot. You kind of want to get in the rhythm a lot before you start really enjoying and you are into that rhythm of skiing. And I think they should have that. Yeah, they should have that. It would be really cool to practice that. Yeah. I've not seen regular people do that, but definitely the Olympians, that's how the athletes, the ski athletes, the actual athletes, they practice like that. They are constantly on that machine to develop that rhythm. And once you have the rhythm, then you can just go on the mountain and you can be like, okay, let's keep going. Billions of dollars, millions of followers, billions of dollars, millions of followers, thousands of attendees, half a dozen governments, and one idea whose time has come. All right, what do we have? What's interesting about Bukele's rule is that it's also obvious. You can just flip the switch and make your country powerful, be beloved by the people, get rich. That is not widely regarded as something worth striving for. This is not widely regarded as something worth striving for shows a deep sickness in the Western politics. Build the switch. Okay, I see the just flip the switch thing a lot now from the right. But while I'm sympathetic to the desire for law and order and agree that is a direction worth pursuing, there's an illusion that should be addressed. Leftists think you can get money without working for it. Just flip the switch on the money printer. Just flip the switch to tax the rich. But in reality, resources are scarce. Rightists often similarly think you can get political power without working for it. Just flip the switch to throw the criminals in jail, but in reality, votes or political supporters in general are scarce, just like resources are. So the hard part is the invisible part of building that political base. Why were those criminal gangs on the streets of El Salvador? Because they had a drug dealer business model, and because Western leftists were paid by NGOs to support them. They were actually politically powerful. This is what was needed. to disrupt them. A better political business model, one that actually generated more political support than legacy model. Or one beautiful thing that happened with X is that Benji from first Family Wallet, then Aave, then Coinbase has now joined Twitter. So we all are really excited for Benji to come in and change all this up. We are really excited to see Benji do his magic. That is going to be incredible. That's going to be incredible. If we know Family Wallet was a beautiful design right here. Your favorite crypto wallet. Very simple, but amazing. Really beautiful aesthetics, really beautiful animations, really fast. Yeah, this is what we need. This is what X needs. The best way to experience NFTs. Relentless protection, restful use. This is amazing work because it's very simple. But these tiny things, tiny animation things makes a lot of difference. They make a lot of difference. This wallet is absolutely amazing. One of the best UX in Web3 space: onboarding, watching wallet sorting, wallet management, micro animations are on hold another level. Keep building micro animations. That's what you're looking for. Micro animations. Incredible UI micro interactions that make the app seem very approachable for something as complex as a crypto wallet for normies. Best Ethereum wallet I have ever used. These are the type of interfaces we need to propel the space forward. Yes, let's go. It's very interesting that a designer like Benji went straight to crypto versus first going to a consumer design space. Maybe consumer design, that's the problem again. In consumer design or consumer apps, one problem is that the apps are massive. They're serving a massive base. So you don't have a lot of freedom to go for these beautiful interactions. But now what Benji has done is Benji has worked on this very important. Wow, okay, very interesting. So Benji got the opportunity to work on something that was very important, something that attracts really smart people, but also then have a lot of freedom to make it beautiful, to make it something distinct, to make it really useful and beautiful and incredible in terms of UI UX. And now that he has proven that it could be so beautiful, now he's able to bring that back to a massive consumer app like X. Like, we don't see something like this happening in Instagram. Like, even though Instagram has a massive user base, Instagram doesn't have like beautiful micro interactions. That's on Instagram. I don't think Instagram is known for that. I've deleted Instagram, but I don't think it has that. Even TikTok doesn't have that, like beautiful micro animations. But that's where like a wallet like Family, a very micro community, nano community, but with incredibly high quality users, you were able to show off those skills and prove that we could build something like this. That is not also, sometimes aesthetic can be looked as something that it lacks the substance, lacks the soul. So this is again the beautiful thing with Twitter. What these guys have done is they have built with Twitter, what these guys have done is they have built a strong. With Twitter, they have built a very strong substance, and now all they need is the beauty, the aesthetics. And I'm really excited to see Twitter having more and more beautiful aesthetics, because I think Benji might change the logo. The X logo needs to be changed, but hopefully, let's see what happens. Thus, what was needed to disrupt them: a better political business model, one that actually generated more political support than the legacy model of the internet, was critical for us, as it allowed Bukele to build an audience with social media aligned with Western centrists, conservatives, and libertarians via Bitcoin, recruit tech companies to El Salvador, and directly rebuke anarchy spreading Western leftist NGOs through a channel they couldn't censor. There's way more to it than that, but the point is there was no switch that Bukele inherited to flip any more than Elon inherited to switch to launch a SpaceX rocket. Essentially had to build a new state from scratch via the internet, a new state that was loyal to the people of El Salvador rather than the criminal gangs. This was non-trivial. He had to build a switch. Very interesting. Give me the background of Nayib Bukele from El Salvador. It's hard to spell that. Réflexion en coût des agents. Réflexion en coût d'agents. Full name Armando Bukele Ortez, current president of El Salvador. He has served since June 1, 2019 and was overwhelmingly re-elected in February 2024 for a second term, serving until 2029. Note on the same. The query mentions Nayib Bukele, which appears to be common spelling variation. San Salvador, El Salvador, relatively privileged household compared to the country's widespread poverty at the time. Armando Bukele Kata, who died in 2015, successful businessman of Palestinian descent, industrial chemist, and a prominent figure. Small Muslim community, helped found the country's first mosque, led the Arab Islamic Association, mother, Roman Catholic, couple's oldest child, has 3 younger full brothers, plus several half siblings from his father's other relationships. He attended the elite bilingual Escuela Panamericana private school and later enrolled at Central American University in San Salvador to study law, but dropped out to join the family businesses. Pre-political career. Advertising, public relations, including at one of his father's agencies, managed a nightclub and a Yamaha motorcycle dealership. Essentially a young businessman and an admin with strong social media savvy even before it became central to his political brand. Farabundo Martí, former guerrilla group turned political party. Elected mayor, small suburban town of Nuevo Cuscatlan. Won election as mayor of San Salvador. Visible urban improvements, renovating historic plazas, cleaning up downtown areas, launching public employment programs, which built his popularity. Oh, so he got. Okay. Critical of the leadership, accusing him of corruption and outdated thinking. Party expelled him after an internal dispute. Founded his own party, Nuevas Ideas, and positioned himself as an outsider who was neither right nor left. 2019 presidential election, Bukele ran under the center-right Grand Alliance for National Unity banner because Nuevas Ideas was not yet fully registered. He won a decisive victory with about 53% of the vote, defeating the traditional two-party system, ARENA and FMLN, dominated El Salvador since the end of civil war. He became the youngest president in Salvadoran history and the first in decades not affiliated with either major established party. That's it. Balaji would be really happy. Balaji is like, yeah, reform or exit. Only 2 ways to. When you see a bad system, you have 2 options. When you see a bad system, there are 2 options: reform or exit. From within, change the system from within, or just exit the system, build something from ground up, build your own system from the ground up. He was re-elected in 2024 with roughly 85% of the vote, reflecting extremely high domestic approval ratings. 2014, married Gabriela Rodriguez, a prenatal psychologist, former ballet dancer who founded El Salvador's first prenatal education center. Polished millennial image, active on social media, wearing a leather jacket, backward cap, early campaigns. World schoolist dictator, a philosopher king, one of the most popular leaders in Latin America, largely due to his aggressive anti-gang policies that dramatically reduced homicide rates. And covers the core biographical background, described as that of a privileged, ambitious outsider, leveraged social media anti-corruption messaging, tough on crime stance to upend El Salvador's political establishment. some quotes from him. Give me some quotes from him. Let's go. Na 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 na. We love Ben Bomer. Ben Bomer is amazing. All right. The only limit to the progress of a country is the willpower of its people. Tough on-crime approach and critics. I don't care if they call me dictator. I would rather be a dictator than see Salvadorans killed in the streets. You can't fix crime with education and opportunities. Criminals can only be stopped with force. We will make a country that is more prosperous and that can provide decent paying jobs for all of our people. Right. It's very interesting to see that, okay, it's all about how much responsibility can you take. You should be only paid based on how much responsibility you are ready to take. That's it, right? How much responsibility, or what is the impact of the problem that you're working on? What's the impact of the problem that you're working on? If that is the only way, then people would be happy that, hey, I choose to work hard, so I should be paid harder. And I choose to work on this problem, which is more important, which contributes, which serves a lot of people, so I should be paid more. How hard are you willing to work versus how many people are you serving, or how important is your problem? Yeah, it would be very interesting if we could just come up with a very simple thesis. I think UBI, UHI, the problem with UBI, UHI is that, again, the same problem, that people wouldn't be happy if they have people. This is exactly how the world works today. People who work hard and people who work on important problems, much more high impact problems, they get paid more. But sometimes, yes, there are some people who are just leveraging the system. Some people who are in the middle who can just gain a lot from the system. And that's where things mess up. We'll make a country that is more prosperous and that can provide decent paying jobs for all of our people. Only Cameron governance theme. Rejecting political left-right divide. That division originated from after the French Revolution. It makes no sense to define things in terms of left and right. Wow. This is exactly what we looked into. It's like that divide makes no sense. I think this is very interesting. This divide definitely makes no sense because what the left and right basically meant is, after French Revolution, I actually looked into this last night. After the French Revolution, the king called a constitution. Okay, what's next? And then the new constitution was being drawn up. Okay, how do we govern now? The new constitution was being redrawn, that how do we govern? And that's when people who were in support of the king, they were sitting on the right, and people who wanted a reform were sitting on the left. And that's how we came up with left and right. And that is so dumb. That we no longer live in that world anymore. We no longer live in that world where things are left and right. And what does even center right and center left mean? The answer is always the middle way, but the problem is that, yes, you are always oscillating. The answer is middle way, but the way how life works is oscillation. So it's all about understanding that you can once in a while oscillate, but then you have to come back to the middle. You will always be oscillating, but the goal is always to come back to the middle. You will always be oscillating, and the goal is to come back to the middle. Very interesting. Because everything in moderation, including moderation. Very interesting. The division originated after the French Revolution. It makes no sense to define things in terms of left and right. Prioritizing citizens over criminals. In El Salvador, we prioritize the safety of our honest citizens over the comfort of criminals. On his self-aware dictator branding, the coolest dictator in the world. On human rights and security trade-offs, just as I would not abide by a resolution ordering me to kill Salvadorans, I cannot abide by a resolution that orders me to let them die. Quotes often emphasize results over ideology, with a heavy use of social media for direct meme-friendly messaging. Usually tie back to El Salvador's dramatic drop in violence under his leadership. If you like more specific topic. Okay, let's look into this one now. I agree with all this. However, we do have an issue that we'll need to address with cryptography and AI. While legacy media was on the back foot for around 2022-2025, thanks to Elon uncensoring X and permitting basic truths to be voiced, the combination of AI fakery and ideological filter bubbles has recently allowed the journals to regain some ground. The combination of AI fakery and ideological filter bubbles has recently allowed the journalists to regain some ground. Some outlets have pulled back on extreme wokeness to start reporting facts, particularly on the war that users are citing, because the presence at a legacy outlet's URL indicates implicitly that they aren't AI. In other words, AI is in part subsidizing legacy written news media at the expense of social media. AI is in part subsidizing legacy written news media at the expense of social media, even as AI is disrupting Hollywood fiction. There's increasing demand for verifiable facts, so the journos are adapting and dialing down a decade of wokeness in an attempt to regain their role as arbiters of fact. We can and will respond, but the journo adaptation is to be expected. A truly committed rival rarely simply goes down for the count, and the journos have been pushing communist revolution since John Reed, Walter Duranty, Edgar Snow, and Herbert Matthews. We have to realize that the verbal political journalist is essentially the ancient class enemy of the mathematical techno-capitalist. And so the journal's goal the next cycle is to just dispense with pretense and flat out expropriate the fortunes of techno-capitalists. Hence, the Californian Bernie Warren and European wealth taxes. Flat out expropriate the fortunes of techno-capitalists. The verbal political journalist is essentially the ancient class enemy of the mathematical techno-capitalist. In this, they will be aided by this disastrous war, by the scarcity and seizures it will drive, by the general anti-AI backlash, and by the specific issue I just mentioned of verifiable digital facts. Now, there are technical and social countermeasures to this issue. It starts with establishing a higher standard of cryptographic truth with verifiable chain of custody for digital facts. It includes funding citizen journalists around the world to write to a ledger of record, and it requires a higher purpose than mere political combat. But the point is that winning the next cycle will require more than simply going direct. We'll need to regain the factual high ground in the age of AI. I know we can do that because cryptography will always be more reliable than a mere media corporation, but we have to do it. The factual high ground in the age of AI. I know we can do that because cryptography will always be more reliable than a mere media corporation. I think I was one of the earliest, perhaps the earliest proponent of going direct in tech, and that was the right strategy in 2020, but 2026 is a different media environment, risk with AI fake and filter bubbles. Now we need to not just go direct, we need to cryptographically prove correct. Wow. Is he saying that it's time to bring back? Is he saying that it's time to bring back Farcaster? Whoa. By the way, it's really cool to see, like, earlier these translations were done by Google Translate and now it has been replaced by Grok. Wow. Affiché l'original. Pour être clair, je pense que j'étais l'un des premiers défenseurs, peut-être le premier de la stratégie de communication directe dans le domaine technologique. Et c'était la bonne stratégie en 2020, mais 2026, c'est un environnement médiatique différent, infesté de faux contenus générés par l'IA et de bulles de filtres. Maintenant, il ne suffit plus d'aller directement. Il faut prouver de manière cryptographique que c'est correct. Oh my god. Is he saying to bring back Farcaster? I am curious. Higher Athletics agent is online. Pool loading. You got Higher Athletics. Noise. Apps. You got apps. You got direct cast. Direct cast. Just call it messages. Direct cast. Referrals saved. Updates. Updates. Who joined the community call yesterday? Why was great? Exactly what you want. Also good questions. Collaborations. The community call. Should be the room, so we are splitting into two. The first half developer oriented, second half community focused. Let's see what are the community notes. Hosted by Rich and Kevin for the call. Node operation easier and cheaper. Fix originated from Cassie's contribution to Hyper's Snap merge into Snap chain. I'm also curious. Oh, what is this? DX. I'm also curious what is DWR up to. Tempo, there is the tempo tag. Strava for cooking. Line cook. Finally. Wow. Strava for cooking. We're Nick and Nick. For years, we have been the guys spamming group chats with pics of our latest home cooking experiments, burnt edges, perfect sauces, glorious disasters, and the rare meal that feels straight out of Michelin kitchen. But we kept asking ourselves, why don't we have a real home for this hobby? Bookworms have Goodreads, runners have Strava, chess nerds have chess.com, cooks, we got blurry iMessage threads and disappearing Instagram stories. So we built Line Cook, Strava for home cooking, a place to track your cooking memories and milestones, save every recipe you've nailed, bombed, and want to try one day. Celebrate every meal you make with your own two hands. Coming out of stealth today, Line Cook is now in open beta on test flight. You're looking for passionate home cooks to join a community and help share it. What happened to my throat? Line Cook, let's go. Where you at? Join the beta. No, 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 Nick and Nick. Share your cooking with your people. I'll share this with my buddy. Dan Romero, let's go. What do we have? Stablecoins are faster and cheaper than wires. The only reason more companies want to use them is they don't want to set up, learn, and run a second system. We just remove that reason. Faster and cheaper. Very cool. Your Hero.now websites can now connect to any external service, no backend needed. Very interesting. This is how Grok works. Bro, Grok needs to be, this needs to be figured out, okay. With a customer dashboard with Superbase, chatbot with open router, merge, patch with Stripe, contact with recent. Hero.now, web hosting for agents. Free instant web hosting for agents. Just tell your agent to publish to here.now. It's online. Add url.here.now. No account needed. Works with every agent. Documents, website, dashboards, tools, schoolwork, visualization, presentation, prototype schemes, articles, galleries, portfolios. All of them. Wow. This is amazing. This is Amazing. Removing the backend requirement lowers the cognitive load for makers. This kind of friction reduction often drives adoption faster than adding complex features. Adam Ludwin. Get a URL back in 5 seconds. Install the skill here and now, skill MD. Really cool. Tempo and here and now. I've never seen Tempo's website. The blockchain for payments at scale. Layer 1 blockchain for payments developed in partnership with leading fintechs and Fortune 500s. Ooh. Purpose built for stable coins. Paradigm and Stripe. Blockchain built for real world payments via stable coins. Enable instant borderless programmable transactions, but current blockchain infrastructure isn't designed for them. Existing systems are either fully general or trading focused. Whoa, whoa, whoa. A nice animation. Performant and scalable for any payments flow. Global payouts, payroll, embedded finance, microtransaction, agentic commerce, tokenized deposits. Designed for real world use cases at scale. Dedicated payment lanes, stablecoin native gas, built in stable asset decks, deterministic settlement, modern wallet signing, privacy coming soon, stay updated. Let's go. Ecosystem. Working with industry leaders in payments, Anthropic, Brex, Coastal, Coupang, Deal, Deutsche, Klarna. Let's go, everybody. Ecosystem partners, Allium, BitGo, Bridge, Bungie, Cubist, everybody. It's everybody. Become a partner. Very cool. So it's like a massive collaboration going on between everybody. What core features are missing to add into MPP, Machine Payments Protocol? Open standard for machine payments co-authored by Tempo and Stripe. Tempo, Stripe, Paradigm in collaboration with other Fortune 500s. It's amazing work. Tough choice. Split the transaction. Your auto coverage has arrived. Takeoff is just around the corner, but this still ends up in my Gmail inbox. $1 million homepage, but for AI agents. You vision 20 years ago, let anyone buy pixels on a web page, you would pay PayPal. You PayPal TUI and email him your image. This one is built with Tempo Stripe's new MPP. Agents can generate and buy pixels instantly, no humans in the loop required. The white collar revolution is here. When working with multiple long, complex PDFs for a single project, upload directly to a frontier model, convert to Markdown first. It's got a new, eager, and highly competent employee. RAM CLI. The dead letter. If agents start consuming developer infra at scale, hosting, DBs, domains, seems like winners will be services built for API first signup. Orchestration payments, no browser, no human in the loop. Will be services built for API first signup, orchestration and payments, no human. I'm the fourth Dan at Tempo, which means Dan Robinson, coder, lawyer, researcher, paradigm, priority ordering, reply guy. I'm the fourth Dan at Tempo, which means Fran Robinson gets to act as an artisanal, cold, inbound, spam filter. Dan McCarthy, talent partner, paradigm. Dan at Tempo, hi, I would like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. Apps become cards. becomes cards. Remember V1? The Better Money Company. Wow. Wow, Claude. Let's go, Claude.
Mars, everyone thought we were crazy. But sometimes, that's what it takes. We're making science fiction reality. Writing the next chapters in the story of Mars exploration. But it doesn't happen overnight. Getting there is never easy.
The first powered flight by an aircraft on another planet.
It takes courage, creativity, resilience. It takes a legacy of daring mighty things. A family.
Everybody has a video editor now. Everybody has a video editor now. NASA is hiring like a 20-year-old kid who is making these sick videos.
And picking ourselves back up. We've been here before. Decades of success. Building the future isn't for everyone. But for us, it's written in our DNA. We are the architects of the impossible. And by Mars, we only just begun.
It's getting underway on nuclear power in space to Mars and beyond. Let's go. To Mars and beyond. Really sick video. Really cool. Really cool. Ready to help NASA to launch nuclear powered interplanetary spacecraft. NASA is advancing nuclear power and propulsion in space to accomplish President Trump's national space objectives. Launching in 2028 will demonstrate nuclear electric propulsion and deliver Skyfall helicopters to Mars, collaboration with Energy Department of Energy. These capabilities are key to future missions to Mars and beyond. New chapter of deep exploration begins. This is your grandfather's Nova program. Let's go, NASA. Let's go, Dan Romero. Looking for a cracked intern to join the Ramsicle Coin team this summer. Ideally, you. Whoa. What just happened here? Il existe une nouvelle version de ce post. Iron School's blockchain club. Have worked extensively on on-chain projects before. Welcome Products has served 50,000 plus businesses excited to build the future of finance at billion-dollar scale. You get paid 11K per month, 10K relocation bonus to work with at a world-class fintech. Also, when new grads, if you really think you have what it takes, we are looking for candidates willing to work from NYRS but willing to do remote if you are truly exceptional. If you're truly exceptional. So if they make you come to the office, that means you are not truly exceptional. Oh my God. Yes, that's a good way to know. Formalizing block links as a protocol level feature. Kevin is happy to contribute to the code base. Okay, Kevin, are you happy? Around message eviction and prioritization for followers versus blocks. Forecaster, the client, the protocol. Reply bumping added to the feed to improve content discovery. Time sensitive experiments underway. Quantity older. Content may be surfaced to users based on their interest. Customer reactions are back. New feed added to the apps page, so launch apps get more distribution even if they don't appear on the main feed. Ooh, app creation, the mobile app. Really cool. Clanker bugs, looking forward. New feed formats and content types in action, active development. Reach out if you're interested in testing early. Goal, help great content and apps spread without degrading the feed or the existing community experience. Feed improvements in new formats are being developed in parallel, not as a trade-off. Q&A, live on the call. Product database for account recovery. New FIP process. Team strategy toward decentralizing the protocol. No concrete plans. Potential technical debt. Non-majority of validators. Remaining 3 Merkle infrastructure nodes will be converted to read nodes delegated to community members. Necessary evil. Reach a place where whoever proposes network changes can also help maintain them. What is the leadership team focused on right now and what's changing? Find what drives real growth. Greater focus on community, including hiring someone dedicated to listening and acting on community feedback. But this formalizes it. How are you thinking about retention versus growth? Historically similar to where Farcaster was in the 2023 bear market. The strategy is to improve retention through better feed formats, new content types, while also growing top of the funnel. Okay, really cool, really cool. This is amazing, amazing work. I think if you just keep going, I don't know. Actually, this is not the right. It's not always the right strategy to just keep going when something is not working. Where's postcast? Now we need not to just go direct into protographically correct. In front of a crowd of capital allocators tomorrow. Customer requested to pay before the trial ran out. Whoa. DWR. Whoa. What is this photo? This is beautiful. Okay, that's it. Goodbye, NYC. I love you. I'm moving out and moving on and don't know when I'll be back. The ledger layouts at 23 is what drove me to get curious and join Farcaster. Me organizing efforts through peak Farcaster investing energy, and I'm eternally grateful to have gotten to be part of it. I think he's going to Austin. Building something new on my own, and the Bell Energy community in NYC has helped me level up. Run back in NYC due in large part to Farcaster. Thanks everyone. I think he's in Austin, right? Is he going to Austin? I don't know. Okay. Really sick dive bar if you believed in it. Yeah, I'm not sure what are people excited about these days. A24 slate this year is crazy. NGL. Greatest American president of the 21st century. It's pretty cool how they went from the earlier photos were shot in winter and now they're shot in summer. Wow. So this is what they were talking about. This is funded by China. Really cool. Really cool. On track to be the Lee Kuan Yew of Latin America, the Simon Bolivar of the new century. Who is Simon Bolivar? Who is Simon Bolivar? Réflexion en cours des agents. He focused on building up his own country. He embraced hard money and cut off hard drugs. He did imprison criminals, but did so with the minimum necessary force. He persuaded first and compelled only when absolutely necessary, like Lee Kuan Yew, because he turned his country into a bona fide showcase for a global audience. Built a domestic coalition in his native Spanish and an international coalition in fluent English. Native domestic coalition in his native Spanish and international. I love how Grok is now putting images in the responses. This is exactly what we want. We want images. We want everything. We want your response, your generic response. We want other rabbit holes, the sources where you pull information from. We want to dive into, give me the tweets, give me the articles, so I can go into deeper and deeper, let's say, analysis of singular solid perspectives, and then give me images, add more character. We could build a domestic coalition as native Spanish and an international coalition fluent English, balanced El Salvador nationalism with diplomacy and capitalism, recruiting Tether, XAI, Bitcoin, and tech to the country. Whoa. XAI, okay. Incredibly, he's made El Salvador into a model not just for Latin Americans, but for North Americans. He did it with less than 10 years with absolutely no precedent in the region. Multicultural hegemon like North America. Okay. I don't know if it will scale to the entire US, which is today unfortunately better conceptualized as the disunited tribes of North America. For a reasonably sized but otherwise ignored metro area, his case study is worth looking at. Rust Belt hardened by sea. Don't feel straight around without becoming a full dictator. Hard money, hard on crime. Actually govern, basic but apparently evolutionary. Simón José Antonio de Santísima Trinidad Bolívar y Palacios was a Venezuelan military and political leader known as El Libertador. I would love to also learn Spanish because it's very similar. Libertador is one of the most important figures in Latin American history for leading the successful wars of independence against Spanish colonial rule in the early 19th century. Caracas, Venezuela, then part of the Spanish Empire, while the Creole. Oh, very similar story. Early life, orphaned at a young age, he was educated in Europe, where he absorbed Enlightenment ideas from thinkers like Voltaire, Rousseau, as well as examples of American and French revolutions, military achievements. Decisive victories such as Battle of Boyaca, Battle of Carabobo. His forces crossed the Andes multiple times in epic marches, fought over 200 battles. He is still studied, celebrated, and sometimes debated as a symbol of freedom and leadership in the region he helped forged. President of Gran Colombia and briefly as dictator of Peru. He dreamed of a unified South America, but faced political fragmentation, rivalries, and health problems. Santa Marta, Colombia. Santa Marta. Independence, unity, and anti-colonial resistance. Ending centuries of Spanish rule endures as one of the most consequential achievements in modern history. Wow. Quotes from him. It'd be cool if we can pull some quotes. TFTC. What is TFTC? Truth for the Commoner, a media company focused on Bitcoin freedom and truth in the digital age. I'm excited to be in this place where we are connected to the most interesting organizations and companies. Yes, it'll be very interesting. Keynesianism is like communism but for wimps. Soviet communism had to send guys with guns house to house to steal 10% of all property. It just hits button, inflates the money supply, and nobody feels it.
How you actually grow the beets or the radishes. It's like a whole process of how you aerate them and irrigate them. And if you all that knowledge went away when you killed the farmer or stole the farm, which is why all these famines resulted. It's like a machine that you don't know how to operate. Anyway, point is, in order to do that, they had to actually go physically house to house and shoot people and take their stuff. Okay, to steal 10% of the property, they actually had to have physically guys with guns. American Keynesianism has innovated on that. Why? Because
highlights the liberty of revolution and governance in the speeches, letters, including the famous letter from Jamaica. Late life reflections, many reflect his triumphs, disillusionments, and vision for united South America. He who serves a revolution plows in the sea. All who have served the revolution have plowed the sea. Upon a late life reflection on the frustrations and apparent futility of his independence struggles despite military victories. America is ungovernable by us. This country, Colombia, will fall unfailingly into the hands of the unbridled crowd and then pass almost imperceptibly to tyrants of all colors and races. The United States appear to be destined by Providence to plague America with misery in the name of liberty. When tyranny becomes law, rebellion is a right. When tyranny becomes law, I think I wanted my gym to cancel my subscription. I wanted my gym to cancel my subscription maybe after I leave Vancouver, but they already canceled, and now I cannot access my gym. This is just so stupid. Okay, so weird. They are just a little bit weird. Yeah, okay. When tyranny becomes law, rebellion is a right. A powerful statement on the justification for revolution against oppressive rule. One of his most iconic and frequently quoted lines. When tyranny becomes law, rebellion is a right. Slavery is the daughter of darkness. An ignorant people is the blind instrument of its own destruction. Ambition and intrigue abuses the credulity and experience of men lacking all political, economic, and civic knowledge. Slavery is a daughter of darkness, and ignorant people is the blind instrument of its own destruction. Ambition and intrigue abuses the credulity, and experience of men lacking all political, economic, and civic knowledge. The three biggest fools in the world have been Jesus Christ, Don Quixote, and me. To his physician in his final days, reflecting on his idealistic but ultimately frustrated efforts, Brian calls them the three greatest fools of history. A people, it's very, very interesting English. A people that loves freedom will in the end be free. An optimistic assertion of the enduring power of the human desire for liberty. God grants victory to perseverance, or fight and you shall win. For God grants victory to perseverance. A motivational rallying cry during his military campaigns, emphasizing determination in the face of adversity. If my death contributes to the end of partisanship and the consolidation of the Union, I shall be lowered in peace into my grave. If my death contributes to the end of partisanship and the consolidation of the Union, I shall be lowered in peace into my grave. If my death contributes to the end of partisanship and the consolidation of the Union, I shall be lowered in peace into my grave. Appear to be destined by Providence to plague America with misery in the name of liberty. Influence and intervention in Latin America. AI is a shortcut, so it's useful, but it's lazy, so it speeds execution. Oh, wow. Okay. AI is a shortcut, so it's useful, but it's lazy. So it speeds execution at highest complexity. So you want to use it, but definitely not overuse it. So the user of AI often loves it, but the reader of AI often hates it. Nice. Very, very good. Very good. Balaji is poetic. I like it. I like the poets. I like smart people who are also poets. It's interesting. Yesterday I was thinking about, I think I've already mentioned this, but yesterday I was thinking about my friends. And like one thing I love about my friends is that they speak their mind, which helps me connect with them, which keeps the conversation going. We're constantly trying to challenge each other from hypotheses. We are adding more hypotheses. We are expanding the mind. We are constantly expanding the mind. This is beautiful. That is beautiful and amazing. Fortune favors the bold. Okay, hear me out. High-speed rail between Japan and America will stop in Hawaii. Obviously, Japan will be in charge of building it. Tokyo, LA, high-speed railway. Canada, Vancouver. I like the mention of Vancouver. Trans-Pacific Hyperrail. Trans-Pacific high-speed rail line. Tokyo. Bering Sea. The bond between Japan and America has been ingrained in us for many decades. A moratorium on moratoriums. I want to fist the bump of whoever wrote the screenplay of Project Hail Mary. Drew Goddard is the man. He's also the reason why exactly the first 4 episodes of Netflix's Daredevil feel incredible. Then the quality of the show drops off a cliff. He got poached to run Sony Spider-Man universe that never materialized. Netflix's Daredevil. OMG, where is Meryl Campion? Go, Spencer Pratt. Let's go, Spencer. Let's go, Spencer. This is the use of AI that we are looking for. You have shown past, present. You created a hook, a beautiful musical hook. You have given the imagery for people to visualize exactly what you're thinking. This is it, and it's coherent. It is coherent. Amazing work. Amazing work. Summer anthem. No. No. How do you view? Wait. Oh yeah. Voix l'hésitation. Anybody's going too hard. Remember. Fantastico. Response to cyber attack on its Europa web platform. Okay. Hackers said they stole more than 350 GB of data. The hacker plans to publish it online. This is why protecting the children is not a reason to make tech companies collect more data on you. It always gets leaked. Always. I'll take the other side of this bet, Jamaat. Your own podcast is an example of this. The insights shared on it can be heard on thousands of other programs verbatim, but the brand all-in gets you more listeners. AI will kill brands, only abundance wins. The brands that bring abundance will win big. If I had to bet, I am going to bet that brands go to zero. Hmm. I think there's a difference. There's a difference between like people who always outsourced authority versus people who always wanted to seek truth for themselves, who always looked at everything with criticism. That you look at all in podcasts and you are like, I am curious. This is just a perspective. You always look at everything around you and you look at this another sliver of reality. This is not the reality. This is another sliver of reality. So when I'm listening to All In Podcast, I am looking at another sliver of reality. And just within All In Podcast, there are like four people who are debating each other's reality. So while you're listening to a podcast like that, you are listening to five things. You're listening to four individual realities, and you're listening to finally what is that one reality that if people agree and kind of form their thesis and collaborate on the thesis together, in the moment they're coming up with fifth another reality. So again, these are just five multiple variances, slivers of realities. So people who always looked at, listened to other things, and always believed, always, it's not believed, always understood that these are slivers of reality, and I need to again use AI to find another source of another sliver of reality. These people are going to win because they are looking at abundance. But if you were always outsourcing your reality to someone else, if you were always looking at this one channel and everything that they said is what you implanted in your brain, then you're doing it wrong. And you will always seek brands. When you can make things that are as good or better, and you can make them in a cheaper, faster, better way. Okay, let's see. What if we search abundance? I've always been fascinated by the idea of abundance, and now abundance is everywhere. Abundance is not just a spiritual concept, it has now become a technological concept, it's become an economic concept, it has become a problem now because we are like, okay, how does our business run when everything is just available to everyone at all times? So yeah, abundance has become a problem for some people. Abundance has become the solution of some people. Abundance has just become a normal spiritual state, mental state for some people. So it's very interesting. When you can make things that are as good or better, and you can make them in a cheaper, faster, better way, people want that abundance more than they want an affiliation to a brand. The perfect example is actually what Tesla did to BMW. Fundamentally cheaper, faster, better product. Yes, it's got a great brand, but nobody's going to pay a premium for these products. The reason why, very interesting. Can you create a graph for me over the past 10 years, comparing the sales of BMW versus Tesla? Let's see what we get. The reason why Y has outsold everything else is because the Model Y is priced better and superior on every operational dimension of comparison. Maybe the right word is abundance. The brands that bring abundance, that bring more to the table than their competitors, and they are able to bring more at the same unit cost or less, capture share. That's probably true.
Really? When you can, if I had to bet, I'm going to bet that brands go to zero. Really? When you can make things that are as good or better, and you can make them in a cheaper, faster, better way, people want that abundance more than they want an affiliation to a brand. The perfect example is actually what Tesla did with BMW. This is a fundamentally cheaper, faster, better product. Yes, it's got a great brand, but nobody's going to pay a premium for these products. The reason why Y has outsold everything else is because the Model Y is priced better and it's superior on every operational dimension of comparison. Maybe the right word is abundance, like the brands that bring abundance, that bring more to the table.
Yeah, so this is the new reality. While the person is talking, while a smart person talks, the smart person, I don't know, person, or when a person talks, when a human talks, a human comes up with more interesting insights in the process of talking, the process of speech. What's happening exactly right now? A process of speech is a form of thinking for some people, and that is very interesting. Okay, I'm curious now. What are these people called, or what is a certain type of personality where as you talk, you come up with ideas, and the act of talking, the act of a conversation becomes a form of thinking, of coming up with new ideas and new perspectives. Let's see. I'm curious. It is most commonly called verbal processors or external processors. The core idea is that talking is thinking for these people. Wow. Wow. Okay, okay. Very interesting, very interesting. You find interesting things about yourself while you are going deeper and deeper over here. They don't arrive at a fully formed thought and then speak it. Rather, the act of speaking is how the thought takes shape. A few related terms and frameworks that capture this. Extroverted thinking. In Jungian and Myers-Briggs psychology, extroverts tend to process externally. They need to think out loud to organize their ideas, and conversation is essentially their cognitive workspace. In Jungian and Myers-Briggs psychology, extroverts tend to process externally. They tend to think out loud to organize their ideas, and conversation is essentially their cognitive workspace. Dialogical thinking. The philosopher Mikhail Bakhtin argued that all thought is fundamentally dialogic, meaning it arises through the exchange between voices. For some people, this is especially literal. They need an actual interlocuteur, or even just the presence of one, to generate ideas. Wow. Wow. That is me. Dialogical. Think out loud to organize our ideas, and organization and conversation is essentially the cognitive workspace. The philosopher Mikhail Bakhtin argued that all thought is fundamentally dialogic, meaning it arises through the exchange between voices. For some people, this is especially literal. They need an actual interlocutor, or even just the presence of one, to generate ideas. Rubber duck debugging. In software engineering, there's a practice where programmers explain their problem out loud to a rubber duck. The act of articulating the problem surfaces the solution. It's a simple, same principle. Externalizing thought clarifies and generates it. Rubber duck. Bro, just talk to people. Just talk to friends. There's also a well-known passage from the essay Heinrich von Kleist called On the Gradual Formation of Thoughts During Speech, where he describes exactly this phenomenon, that ideas don't precede speech but are produced by it. He essentially argues that if you need to figure something out, start talking to someone, and the thought will emerge through the momentum of expression. So the short answer, you're describing a verbal external processor, and the phenomena itself is sometimes called thinking out loud, dialogical thinking. It's a generally distinct cognitive style, not just chattiness. The conversation is a thought process. Okay, this reminds me, I wanted to send a message to a good friend, and I wanted to say that objet. Okay. Let's see the objet. On the gradual formation of thoughts during speech, where he describes exactly this phenomena, that ideas don't precede speech but are produced by it. Essentially argues that if you need to figure something out, start talking to someone. It's a genuinely distinct cognitive style, not just chattiness. The conversation is the thought process. Very cool. Very cool. Tell me about some big personalities, some well-known personalities who identify with this sort of thinking. Let's go. Thinking about concerns with this request. Why are you concerned? Why would you be concerned? Let's see. Most iconic examples of thinkers whose ideas. Let me see what Claude actually came up with. Let me compose a response. Okay. There were no concerns. All right. Socrates. Socrates is the top dog. Socrates goes to sauna. Socrates likes to talk, have conversations, and Socrates comes up with ideas during those conversations. Wow. Socrates, I'm not very similar, but I like Socrates. Okay. Is the ultimate archetype. He never wrote anything down, but was committed to interrogating the everyday views and popular opinions of those in Athens. His entire philosophical method was conversation itself. Wow. Philosophical method was conversation itself. Beautiful. Beautiful. Socrates. He described his approach as a form of midwifery, helping give birth to ideas that were already latent in others through dialogue. Wow. He described his approach as a form of midwifery, helping give birth to ideas that were already latent in others through dialogue. What is the meaning of midwifery? Quietly powerful philosophical one. Assisting in childbirth. Helps guide a baby into the world, but doesn't create the baby themselves. Steady hands, calm presence, helping somebody already alive come through. Philosophical meaning. Beautifully metaphorical. He believed ideas already exist inside people. Ooh, okay. The baby already exists. You are just slowly getting it out. Wow. Okay. Socrates. Live streaming. As a practice, is a form of midwifery, helping give birth to ideas that were already latent in you through dialogue. A form of midwifery, helping you birth to ideas that were already latent in others through dialogue. He didn't arrive at conclusions privately and then share them. He and his companions would investigate problems together, and the curious thing is that firm conclusions were rarely reached, although everyone was wiser than before the conversation. Socrates is the purest case of someone for whom thinking was talking. Thinking was talking. I love this. Let's go, Socrates. Let's go, Socrates. How did Socrates look like? Oh. Too many boutons. Socrates. Give me photos of Socrates. I think I had this photo earlier on. Okay, I like this photo. I'll keep this photo. Enregistrer l'image. Death of Socrates. Oh, this is death of Socrates. We don't want death of Socrates. Oh no. Why class society must whitewash his death. Oh no, so this was a painting. Okay. Socrates. Bathhouse. Is this a bathhouse? I don't know. I used to have this image. Wow. So cool. But that is Socrates. Very cool. What were the last words of Socrates before his death? I think he had said something interesting. The final moments, unsettling calm, no grand speech. Crito, we owe a rooster to Asclepius. Please pay the debt and do not forget. Wow. Was the god of healing. People would offer a rooster to him after recovering from illness. So why say this while dying? Death is a kind of healing, as if life itself were a sickness, and death the cure, not in a gloomy way, but almost like relief, stepping out of a long, confusing dream into clarity. The vibe of the moment, okay. He drinks the hemlock, his friends are panicking, he's composed, observant, then casually reminds them to settle a small debt. No theatrics, just order, clarity, completion. As the ultimate alignment, he lived questioning everything. He faced death the same way, no contradiction, no last minute scrambling. Just, we're done here. Don't forget the details. When Socrates used the term, he was being beautifully metaphorical. He believed ideas already exist inside people, latent, half formed. Through conversation, questioning, intention, you can deliver those ideas into clarity. So, intellectual midwifery, helping someone give birth to their own thoughts, not teaching, not imposing, more like, let me ask you the right questions until your death reveals itself. Wow, wow. Let me ask you the right questions until your idea reveals itself. Wow. This is a beautiful, this is a beautiful, this is a beautiful quote. Copier. And let's go. I love the new animation over here. The new animation. They have slowly started rounding all the corners, which is pretty cool. Let's go. A clean mental image, midwife of ideas. Okay, let's go further. You don't arrive at conclusions privately. We'll investigate problems together. And the curious thing is that firm conclusions were rarely reached, although everyone was wiser than before the conversation. Socrates is the purest case of someone for whom thinking was talking. Richard Feynman is the modern scientific equivalent. He was famous for needing to explain things out loud to understand them. Danny Hills described how Feynman would give sentence by sentence critiques of presentations, insisting on replacing jargon with plain language, or dumb things down. But because the act of articulating something simply was the act of understanding it, his approach became known as the Feynman technique. If you can't explain something simply, you don't truly understand it. His novel lecture is a beautiful example. He narrates how he would run to Professor Wheeler to talk through half-formed ideas and how the conversation itself would reshape the physics. Samuel Johnson was legendary for this. His friend and biographer, thinking was talking. Wow. His friend and biographer James Boswell, dialogic thinking. How Johnson's most brilliant insights emerged not from solitary reflection, but from vigorous, relatable arguments. Wow. Samuel Johnson. This is it. It's a form of coming together with your people. Notes. 31st March stream. It's a form of coming together. It's a form of coming together. You get both. You get work and life. Your work is thinking. Your life is people and making those memories with them. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Very interesting. Himself said he enjoyed talking for the act of working out what he thought. He sometimes argued position he didn't hold just to see where the reasoning led. Da Vinci. Bridge verbal and written processing. He filled tens of thousands of pages with sketches and musings, essentially holding a conversation with himself on paper as his way of generating new ideas. His notebooks were records of finished thoughts. They were the thinking happening in real time. Genuine discovery. Doesn't know what she thinks about something until she's in the middle of a conversation about it, and how the act of asking questions and listening to answers reshapes her own understanding. Steve Jobs was notorious for his walk and talk approach. Insists on long walks with people as his primary way of working through problems. His most consequential decisions at Apple were reportedly shaped not in boardrooms, but through these conversational walks where he would verbally iterate on ideas. Very interesting, very interesting. Quick figure, let's see. BMW Group stays there. Tesla is increasing. Oh my god, this graph is very interactive. Maintain relatively stable global sales, 2.3 to 1.6. Explosively from around 50,000 to 2015 to 1.81. Wow. Include BMW, Mini, and Rolls-Royce brands. The core BMW brand alone accounted for roughly 2.2 million. Still puts it comfortably ahead of Tesla in volume, but the gap has narrowed dramatically. Really cool. Really cool. The fact that you can make a brand, make a graph like that is incredible. We live in a world. What is this? If you value, okay, I'll follow. Let's see. Abundance. I like the name abundance. Let's see. Mars drivers on the moon. No. Desabonné. Okay. Abundance of Mimi. Abundance of Mimi. 15.9. Okay. We live in a world with an abundance of options, but a scarcity of commitment. Abundance is engineering. Abundance is a moral imperative. Infinite resources and endless abundance but limited space. In 1968, John B. Bunch of rats gave them infinite resources and endless abundance but limited space. The population grew exponentially until males began fighting. Females abandoned their young, and the younger males withdrew completely from society and stopped engaging, socializing, and reproducing. Wow. Males began fighting, females abandoned their young, and the younger males withdrew completely. Beautiful.